What's good? It's Woog. The lineup for Coachella 2023 is now official, with the headliners being Bad Bunny on Friday, BLACKPINK on Saturday, and Frank Ocean on Sunday, with Calvin Harris spinning at some point during that weekend. And my first takeaways on this are, I was thinking, does this hold up in terms of star power in the headlines and then in the artists with the next biggest print? Because usually you'll have the headliner on a particular day on one line, and then the next line would have like the next biggest artist, and then downward you go where the print gets smaller and smaller per row. And in this case, what they did with the flyers, they had the headliners, and then they have in a clearly second biggest print, basically the second biggest artist of that day. Whether or not you agree that they're the second biggest artist, they're getting the second biggest font size on the flyer. And in this case, on Friday, as I said, Bad Bunny is the headliner, Gorillaz is the second biggest in print. And then on Saturday, BLACKPINK, followed by Rosalia with the second biggest print. And then on Sunday, Frank Ocean with Björk having the second biggest print. So in terms of star power, upon first glance, if you are not of like the younger ages, you might not get it. Like if you are into like the indie of like the 2000s and then the early 2010s, like if you're into like say Beach House, Tame Impala, Fleet Foxes, MGMT, that era, then these artists who are in the second half, like the lower half of the billing, they might not jump out. Like we're not getting a bunch of like Tennis, Yesayer, and bands from that era. But if you look at the headliners, no, we're not getting any classic rock legends. Like we're not getting like a Neil Young or any 80s, 90s legends like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Guns N' Roses, Rage Against the Machine. We're not getting any of that here, although Blondie is on the second line of Friday. So Blondie, you know, Debbie Harry and company, they're going to be performing on Friday. And you do have, you know, some older, I mean, Björk. I mean, she's not as, you know, classic or as old as the musicians in Blondie, but Björk's been around since like the early 90s. And she just dropped her album Fosora. I actually saw her do that Utopia concert tour, which was magnificent. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, Björk is iconic. And if you look at the main headliners, you have to kind of be young to know what's up here. Bad Bunny is one of the biggest artists in the world right now. Over the past couple of years, he has just emerged to super duper superstar status. And then BLACKPINK, I'm sure a lot of Americans are scratching their head like, who? But no, BLACKPINK, since I would say the late 2010s, we're talking like 2018, 19, up to 2020. I mean, they only have a couple of albums, and those albums dropped in 2020 and 2022. So if you're not up on the latest and the greatest, you might not know what's up with BLACKPINK. But believe me when I tell you, they have a mega following. BLACKPINK is out of South Korea. So they're a K-pop / hip-hop, trap, electronic, kind of, you know, those newer hybrids of pop music. That's what BLACKPINK taps into. So yeah, they are really popping right now. So you've got Bad Bunny, BLACKPINK, and then you've got the very enigmatic Frank Ocean, who, I mean, his reputation precedes him. I mean, he was playing different games with the industry several years ago. We're talking 2016 when he dropped Endless, and then he dropped Blonde, when the label probably thought that they were going to get the Blonde album. Frank Ocean kind of surprised them, snuck out a Endless album, and then dropped Blonde like the very next day or the next week, something like that. But if you look at Frank Ocean's overall output, he's not as prolific as some other superstars. Like, I remember seeing him back in like 2010. I think that was the Coachella that I saw Frank Ocean and I saw The Weeknd on the same day, I believe, maybe one day apart. But they were both just coming into their own career-wise. Like, you know, The Weeknd had just dropped House of Balloons, and Frank Ocean had only dropped the Novocaine, or I'm sorry, the Nostalgia Ultra mixtape. So he hadn't even dropped Channel Orange by that point. But if you look at his overall output, after that Nostalgia Ultra mixtape, he only has Channel Orange, and then Endless, and then Blonde, with a few singles scattered in between. But he doesn't have a big discography here. He doesn't have a mega catalog. But again, his reputation precedes him, and he's kind of one of the most, not avant-garde, but one of the more revered names in the game, where if he were to drop an album, say like next week or next month, all of the publications and social media music influencers would be all over it. Like, Frank Ocean is that major, even though he hasn't, again, dropped a lot of albums. So I think that you actually do get a good amount of star power here with Bad Bunny, BLACKPINK, and then Frank Ocean. It's just that upon first glance, if you aren't tuned into the latest, you might not know what's up with these headliners. But a couple of things that I'm noticing, like last year's Coachella, a lot of people were saying, man, there are a lot of A-list and we'll say A-, B+ list rappers on the bill. It's almost the opposite here. Like, we're not getting any of those, like A$AP Rocky, Wiz Khalifa, Travis Scott, Future, you name it. That ilk of rapper, 21 Savage. I mean, granted, a lot of them performed just last year, but I'm noticing a pretty big absence of some of the bigger rap names on this bill. I mean, you've got a few kind of sprinkled in. And I'm sure that Metro Boomin, whose new album I really, really like, by the way, Metro Boomin is performing on Friday, and I'm assuming he's going to have a lot of, heavy hitter names featured, because he's just a producer. You're not going to get a lot of Metro Boomin rapping on Friday, and he is on that second line on the Friday bill. But yeah, Metro Boomin, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a cameo from 21 Savage or from Future or even from Travis Scott. Some of the reoccurring names on his Metro Boomin's latest album are probably gonna, make a stage appearance here. But yeah, we're not getting the same amount of rappers on this build as we got last year. And I'm seeing a lot of very new names popping up, like on the lower 3 rows of each one of the nights. And let's see, what am I pleased about here? Okay, we've got Kaytranada, the producer, performing on Friday. We also, as I mentioned, have Blondie, Burna Boy, who's been killing it as of late. The Nigerian, Afrobeat rapper, reggae pop artist, Burna Boy, he's gonna perform on Friday. I wouldn't be totally shocked if Drake makes an appearance there. I mean, maybe not, but they have a new song together, and it wouldn't be totally out of the question for Drake to pop up. But yeah, we've got Burna Boy also on Friday. Gorillaz, I mean, they're pretty damn iconic. I think that they've actually headlined in the past. Yeah, they headlined in 2010. They headlined on Sunday. I actually went to that Coachella. I should have remembered that. And Jay-Z, by the way, that weekend headlined on Friday. So yeah, Gorillaz have been a headliner in the past. I believe Björk, who again is the second name on Sunday here, I believe she's probably headlined in the past. Yeah, she headlined in 2002, back when it was a 2-day festival. So yeah, we've got some really good names here. Uchis, she's really grown in popularity over the past few years. She's also on that second line on Sunday. Let's see, on Saturday you have Boy Genius, who, if you don't know, that is the 3-woman tandem of Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker. So it's kind of like it's a super group. Again, Phoebe Bridgers, who actually has a label, and on that label, somebody who's performing on Friday, Muna, that's M-U-N-A, is on Phoebe Bridgers' label called Satisfactory. But yeah, Boy Genius, that's Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker, or Julia Baker, is it Julian Baker or Julia Baker, are performing on Saturday. Also on Saturday, the dance pop veterans, Chromeo, they're making a comeback essentially. Yeji, my fiance actually really likes Yeji. She's going to be performing on Saturday as well. The indie rock artist Snail Mail is also performing on Saturday, which is cool because I think she had to pull out from her tour due to like a vocal surgery. So it's good that she's going to be performing at Coachella. I also see that 90s band, The Breeders, they're about halfway down on the Saturday lineup. They were a big deal back in the early to mid 90s. The Breeders are going to be on Saturday. The rap group EARTHGANG, they are a part of J. Cole's Dreamville Records, and they're also, some of the co-founders of the collective known as Spillage Village. That's they include JID, J-I-D, the kind of super lyricist rapper, along with Black. That's 6 Lack. You might have seen that name in print if you haven't heard Black's music. But yeah, EARTHGANG is going to be performing on Saturday as well. I was pleased to see Hiatus Kaiyote. They're kind of like a jazzy, soulful band, I would say a little dragon-like, but yeah, Hiatus Kaiyote is going to be performing on Saturday as well. I'm surprised that they are actually as low on that part of the bill as they are. I see that on Friday, Domi and JD Beck, they're going to be performing. They're kind of a virtuoso, or I should say prodigy duo, kind of a jazz instrumental duo. Very good. They might be a little reminiscent of groups like Bad Bad Not Good, but they're a little bit playful in their sounds. Give Domi and JD Beck a listen. They're actually one of the kind of jazz outfits that's kind of gotten some crossover attention. Domi and JD Beck. They're going to be performing on Friday, as will The Comet Is Coming. There's a little crossover in group membership between them and another very good kind of jazz fusion or psychedelic jazz, progressive jazz outfit, Sons of Kemet. Yeah, The Comet Is Coming. Very almost noise rock, jazz, experimental. They're going to be performing on Friday as well. No Name I saw on the bill. No Name, at times she's controversial. I think that she's simply one of the more talented rappers out there. She doesn't have a lot of output, but the music she does release is excellent. No Name actually also has a book club, very active. And by active, I mean like as an activist. Active person in her community and just in on the music landscape, and she's almost kind of shying away from fame. She's done a lot, it seems to me, to kind of downplay the build of her name and of her notoriety. I don't know why that is, but yeah, she's a little bit, I wouldn't say reclusive or elusive or anything like that. She just doesn't seem star power hungry. I'll put it like that, but very talented. I was happy to see that she's on this bill as well. The Linda Lindas, kind of a new, I would say, kind of indie rock, punk rock, pop punk type of band. They're going to be performing on Saturday. As will one of the more consistent pop artists of the modern era, or by modern era, I mean like the last, we'll say 6 years, 6 to 8 years, Charli XCX. Also performing on Saturday. She makes, to me, her pop music is every bit as sensational as, say, Dua Lipa. And Charli XCX has a few very good albums now. And yeah, she's going to be performing on Saturday, as will Suicide Boys, kind of fast rapping, kind of dark, down-tempo rap group. You can tell that they're inspired by like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Suicide Boys on Saturday as well. I already mentioned Rosalia being the second biggest name in print on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have the return of now this person is reclusive and very enigmatic. Jai Paul, or J. Paul. He was basically an emerging sensation about 10 years ago, where he had this reputation of being like a musical master, and people were just salivating at what he was about to release because of what they had heard like on MySpace. And his music got leaked, and then he disappeared without even putting any album out. Disappeared for several years, then finally re-emerged to release the previously leaked music along with some other tracks. Released that in 2019, but he's one of the biggest like what ifs or what could have been about 10 years ago in the music game. Coming out of the UK, Jai Paul, I was actually very surprised to see him on this. I feel like his performance is going to be must see because of just how interesting his story in the music game is or was. One of the better, I would say, dance pop, or just overall, just kind of cool pop, I would say, kind of synth pop, dance pop. Christine and the Queens, they're going to be performing on Sunday. Christine and the Queens, I like her a lot. Christine and the Queens, especially with that album, it's like 2 or 3 albums ago from them. Very cool sounding music. Willow, and I think by Willow they mean Willow Smith, who actually has some very good pop, rap, pop, R&B, neo soul-ish pop indie soul, indie pop style songs. Willow Smith is actually a pretty good artist overall. I think that a lot of people don't take the Smith kids seriously because their parents are Will and Jada, and we're kind of in the age of anti-nepotism in a way. But Willow Smith is pretty damn talented. In fact, I mean, her brother, I think, Jaden Smith, I look at him as being talented. But I like it when Willow Smith is in that pop vein. I don't like her rock music as much as her pop and indie soul type of music. But yeah, Willow Smith, she's going to be performing on Sunday, as will one of the more bold artists in the game in Glorilla. Glorilla is going to be performing on Sunday as well. Female rapper, check her out. She's made a lot of noise this year, and well, by this year I mean last year, 2022. Weyes Blood, whose last two albums have been two of the better albums of their respective years. Titanic Rising, and then this last album that she just dropped a few months ago. Weyes Blood, kind of a chamber pop artist, indie pop, chamber pop artist. She's going to be performing on Sunday, as will Alex G, kind of one of the cooler indie artists. He was going by the name Sandy for a while because of copyright issues on the name, but now he's back to Alex G. Just released an album last year. He's going to be performing on Sunday, and he's kind of like a I would say lo-fi style of indie artist. Interesting production choices. Yeah, Alex G, pretty interesting artist. And Sudan Archives out of LA. She's going to be performing on Sunday, and she, to me, dropped one of the better albums of 2022, Natural Brown Prom Queen. I featured that in my best albums of 2022 list. Check that video out if you get a chance. Yeah, she had a big breakthrough year 2022, and I was actually surprised that she's as low on the Sunday part of the bill as she is. And Cannons, pretty cool dance pop, synth pop, very mellow. Who do they kind of remind me of? Remember that song by LaRue called In for the Kill? It was big. What year did it drop? Like 2009? Yeah, I would say that Cannons is kind of along that vein. It's just smooth music to either go if you're going out at night or coming back home after a night out. Like, it's just something cool to roll your windows down and bump. Cannons is going to be performing on Sunday, as will Rae Sremmurd. They were killing it. Like, I'm surprised that they haven't released more new music over the past few years, because with their first two albums, they seemed like they were taking over, kind of in the early trap era where a lot of rappers started singing. You know, the Travis Scott, Migos, Future, by the time he was on like the Beast Mode, Monster mixtapes part of his career. Rae Sremmurd was one of the biggest rap outfits in the game. They were bigger than Migos once upon a time, but their output has really dropped off. I mean, Sway Lee from Rae Sremmurd has kind of done some solo stuff, but he hasn't really blown up as much as I thought he would. But yeah, we're getting that duo, Rae Sremmurd, on Sunday here as well. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are overall on this Coachella lineup. I thought that it was a very good lineup. I would stop short of saying great. Oh, by the way, Yves Tumor, one of the more eccentric and multifaceted artists. It's almost hard to lump him into a particular genre. Listen to Yves Tumor, his last couple of albums. He's going to be performing on Friday, as will Pusha T and Wet Leg. Wet Leg had a breakthrough year with their debut album, self-titled album, Wet Leg. I think that, they made my best albums of 2022 list as well. I see that The Garden is there on Friday as well. I remember shooting them in Orange County a few years ago at, it might have been the Yost Theater in Santa Ana. But yeah, The Garden, pretty interesting duo. There are two brothers. One of them goes by Puzzle, and the other one goes by, damn, what's the other one's name? I forgot, but yeah, The Garden, pretty interesting, drum heavy with kind of stripped down production. I mean, they'll get the drums going and they'll get a guitar going, but again, it's only the two brothers making a lot of noise on stage, and they still put on a show. But yeah, they're gonna be there on Friday. But yeah, let me know what your overall thoughts are here. Horse Girl, by the way, yeah, they're kind of on that, I would say, not so much Sleater Kinney, I would say more Sonic Youth style of kind of washed out, maybe almost shoegazy style of rock, or maybe Dinosaur Jr. indie rock style. But yeah, they're at the bottom of the Saturday part of the lineup. So they're going to be playing that weekend as well. But yeah, please let me know your overall thoughts on the 2023 Coachella lineup in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please, if you see any names that jump out at you, Idris Elba, interesting, the actor, on Friday. But yeah, let me know what artists you are excited about on this lineup, whether I mentioned them or not. Soul Glow had a big year as well. They're performing on Friday, kind of like a Death Grips style noise rock band. A lot of people, a lot of publications, I didn't have them at the top of my list, but other publications had them near the top, if not near, like very close to the top of their best of 2022 list. That's Soul Glow. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Like the video. Sleaford Mods, I'm sorry, I keep doing this, but Sleaford Mods, they are one of those post-punk bands that do like a lot of cheeky talking. It's a British duo, and they just, a lot of tongue-in-cheek and political, very cynical humor. But yeah, listen to Sleaford Mods, SLEAFORD Mods. Check them out if you get a chance, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.